All right, and our runners have their seed. We're getting set up, and we're about to take off.
Ooh. All right, we'll get to see if everybody takes the same direction or no, they certainly do not. We've already got 3. I think the Link's house, which has the hammer in it.
What is this?
All right, well, that's not going to be the troll. And
Nope.
Numberplay heading up to... Oh, I was about to say Kakariko Village, but no, that is not the play here, apparently.
Numberplay is going to be doing the increasingly popular Houlihan room strat, getting that set up. It gives you 225 rupees to play with a little bit, so you can guarantee being able to purchase some bombs and do some other things in Kakariko. Unfortunately, it's not going to really be terribly effective because you get your tree pull with bombs, and then you get your weapon with hammer, so...
Well, that is interesting. But it is true that Keysanity often tends to be pretty poor seeds early on, so I don't know if it's it might still work in the end. We'll see. Is that a small key to Hera?
That was a small key to Hera in that treasure chest. Remember, that small key to Hera actually unlocks the basement portion, which you also need a fire sword to be able to get that particular treasure chest. But that location has definitely trolled some people here and there, so interesting to see that so early on in this seed.
Yes, indeed. I think 3 of our runners so far, and now that Numberplay's got his hammer, possibly all 4 of our runners we're going to see, since they get an actual weapon early on, they're going to make that early play directly into Hyrule Castle.
It makes sense from an early play perspective. You want to avoid it if you can, if you don't have a weapon, just because it adds so much time. But if you get a weapon early on, there's no reason to make the smart routing choice and just do it all together.
Yeah, trying to fit this in later on is a little bit of a pain. Especially if you made the early play to check the uncle and then found nothing there and have to route it in later. That's never fun.
Yep, and as you'll likely see in this Keysanity, routing decisions end up playing a much bigger portion than any sort of execution for Keysanity, because there's so many different things that you need to route together and different things to take advantage of. So
yeah, absolutely. It's all about collecting information and figuring out where to go based on that information that you've managed to collect.
Speaking of, we have blue mail in chess, so escape is a pretty solid play at this point in time. You're getting your hammer and some bomb upgrades, and then blue mail right off the bat when you still only have 3 hearts.
Yeah, this is suspiciously friendly. I don't like it. I'm waiting for the and glove.
And gloves. Zelda's chest is holding the glove. That was absolutely required. So solid play going ahead and coming down here right away.
Indeed.
That's going to be able to do a lot of other things right at this point.
My suspicion levels are continuing to rise here. I'm wondering when this is. Are we going to have a late moon pearl because they found early gloves and hammer and it's just going to take them forever to get into the dark world? What's going on here?
Oh, you never know with these sorts of things. This is setting yourself up. The interesting thing is we don't have a whole lot of big keys. So even though we have a lot of stuff right now, especially for less than 4 minutes into the seed, not a lot of direction in terms of where we need to go after that. So the back end has a pod key and 2 pod small keys.
Okay.
No. Nope.
Well, Keysanity mode is a double dip pod mode, I always say. So this is, you kind of expect this. Find a couple of pod keys, dip in to find the rest of the pod keys locked behind some other silly thing.
Yeah, it's always a risky strat trying to go in there. I know some people prefer to avoid doing anything pod related until they have at least enough keys to clear it out. Or at least get through to the boss, but to each their own. I mean, it's risky one way or the other. So we're seeing some route divergence here. We see Hitsuyan, looks like he's going to the South Kakariko route as opposed to going north up to Sanctuary. Thalane is checking the Lumberjack Hut, just catching some bombs.
Well, that's fortunate. And Hitsuyan gets to, Normally people go this route because you're almost guaranteed to grab a couple of bombs on the way, and it sort of sets you up for Kakariko Village, but Hitsuyan, lucky enough to get to completely bypass all of that, which this allows him to route Kakariko Village really well with all those bombs that he already has, plus the money that he's probably going to collect along the way.
Absolutely, and we see another progression item. Going to make you a little bit more nervous, Fantalus. We have the mirror in the maze game.
Oh, I missed that. Uh-oh. Well, that's... Boy, someday when they finally manage to find that moon pearl, that'll come in handy.
Maybe a little bit.
And the worst of the two boomerangs we find in the forest are... Oh, my goodness.
Well, okay, I guessed wrong.
All right. Well, Thieves Hut paying out. This isn't Kakariko Village, it's Stacktorico Village. Yeah, okay. All right, what do we got in Blinds Hut here? That's what I'm curious about. We got a map. $20 in the back of the bar. A bee in a bottle. Oh, that's my favorite. Another bottle. Oh.
2 bottles in Blinds Hut. Interesting. We'll be able to route Sick Kid in and whatever he's holding for us, but what is the seed, everyone?
Oh man, that's always the dream, is finding a bottle and finding the flute in Kakariko Village, so you just never have to come back here.
Now our restreamer Epi is calling Sick Kid with flute. No. That's you want to talk about suspicious at that point in time.
That'd be a little too friendly. Still got more maps. I suspect we're going to see a map check soon with Eastern Palace coming into the ability for our runners to check.
With all the maps that we've gotten, it might be a smart check to do quick. I know some people, and we got one, but I missed it.
And a third bottle. And a small key to Hyrule Castle, which will not come in handy at all.
Nope, absolutely not. Vendor is just selling bombs at this point in time. We have a couple other locations to check. Chicken Hut, but I guess we saw Hitsuyan go in here earlier, so we do get our first Sick Kid check, though.
Well, that was a little disappointing.
Well, I don't know if we can call this Kakariko terribly disappointing, all things said.
No, that's a fair point. I think anytime you find a bottle full of blue potion right off the bat in the game, that's got to make you feel pretty good. Plus blue mail. This is a little ridiculous.
Blue mail, blue potion, blue bombs.
Blue life.
I'm blue and da
There we go. Oh, well, all our runners are treading over their previous paths as they head through Kakariko Village. So what is the play next? I mean, the play is probably to the south, like Hylia, right?
Feels like it. I mean, you have the mirror, which will help you out in terms of just having to go into the swamp level, once. And nothing else, despite all that value that we're getting, nothing else is really open to us, at least from a logic perspective. No lamps, so I mean, you could either go to the south or head over to the eastern area. Both would be, I think, solid plays.
Or do you risk a very early Death Mountain play, thinking that either the flute or the lantern, which you don't want to see the lantern anywhere, obviously, but I'm sure our runners do.
Well, I'd love to see the lantern. It does open up quite a few things in terms of logic. The next thing that I would guess that we would end up seeing, if not the Moon Pearl, I'm going to take a wild guess we're going to find flippers next, just because there's some interesting things that open up if we have the flippers.
That's fair. And thalane, with another Houlihan check. After finding that 300 rupees in Kakariko Village, this is going to be pretty convenient. Might be setting up for fake flippers play.
fake flippers into Zora. And that's the one thing, being able to do hula hand, if you find just one of the 300 rupee checks, that sets you up nicely to be able to go ahead and go right to Zora. That'll hit that wonderful 500 rupee threshold. Without doing hula hand, though, you'd have to get 2 of those 300 or some extra combination plus red rupees. We do get the big key to Tower of Hera in the first chest in the dam, so that's a gigantic flashing red light there saying go here. We've already got the small key to Tower of Hera and your fire source. I think we might be going north as soon as we get a light source.
Now, deeply curious where that lantern is, either the lantern or the flute, because it's got to show up soon.
Absolutely. And we did a quick check from Thalane. He's doing the eastern route. The green pendant is going to be Skull Woods.
Oh, interesting. That's Skull Woods plus an early fire rod. Sahasrahla is kind of looking like a good possible source of some sort of progression. Although I do hate making that play. Especially early on with 4 hearts.
Yeah, 4 heart Skull Woods. No, I mean, only hammer. No, thank you.
No. What do we got in Mini Moldorm Cave? Not much value so far. Nope. Pile of trash.
Pile of trash. Here's what I've come to find out, and this might just be survivor's bias in this case. I'm starting to find that if you don't find anything in the Mini Moldorm Cave, Hype Cave ends up feeling a little bit better.
Yeah, that is true, especially with this loadout that they've got. An early hammer, early gloves. As soon as they find Moon Pearl, I see a lot of people in Keysanity rather than taking that set of items and heading over to the Village of Outcasts, just taking it straight down, checking out Hype Cave, checking out, south of the village.
And we see Numberplay went ahead and going with the sequence break, going up Death Mountain, and will be heading shortly into Tower of Hera. He has all the items necessary, so that's a solid play. Just had to do that sequence break.
Did he go down and get the Tower of Hera big key? I'm not sure he visited the swamp thing.
Oh, he did not. Thank you, Ms. Metroid, for pointing that out.
Yeah, that is going to be a little bit frustrating for him when he finds that out.
So we have Thalane in Eastern, Hitsuyan on his way, Nifboy is checking out, and both Tower of Hera and Eastern are our other 2 pendants. So, holy cow, we already know where everything is, guys.
Wow. Instant knowledge. This is... The extra unfortunate thing about this is this may necessitate for Numberplay a double dip into Hera Pendant if genuinely there is something upstairs.
Well, and that's got to make you a little bit nervous because right now, the only thing they're missing from being able to, for example, pull the pedestal right now is the Moon Pearl in order to do Skull Woods, and then the big key and bow to do Eastern. That's it. Everything else is open for the pedestal.
See, this is what I was hoping for, was the fake out pedestal seed. Now I think there's going to be garbage on the pedestal.
Oh, Ms. Metroid does point out we do need a sword for Skullwoods. And by the way, there's a sword on the floating island there.
Well, can't get it yet, but boy, literally the only thing needed is an upgraded glove and the Moon Pearl, of course.
This is pointing heavily towards a pedestal seed. I like the call early on, a pedestal juke.
This was not a plando that we put together, by the way. This is, we randomly generated this seed. It's not.
We promise.
Yeah, cross my fingers. Oh boy, more maps.
So Numberplay is going over and going to be doing the east side of Death Mountain. Again, it's still a sequence break, but routing this together is smart because there's a lot of treasure chest over here. All he's missing to make this in logic is the lamp. So we know he's not going to get the lamp up here. If he does, though, we know that the flute has to be somewhere accessible.
Glad he managed to make it to the end of this with that 1/4 heart. He'll get 2 more in here. That was starting to get worried about all those. Ooh, a small key to Turtle Rock. We've got our 2 runners down on the bottom, both simultaneously in Eastern Palace. Finding a bunch of compasses so far.
And there's the lamp. Okay, lamp, boots. So that is absolutely huge for Numberplay. Keep in mind, remember, he sequence broke for lamp or flute to get up here to Death Mountain. Finding the lamp absolutely 100% means that the flute is accessible early. Your flute is your key up here to Death Mountain.
That is interesting. That is very, very interesting. So the other thing that's interesting about this is that there's a whole bunch of stuff that is now logically locked by Death Mountain and your ability to get up there. A whole bunch of stuff, Eastern Palace, Palace of Darkness, getting inside the sewer portion of Hyrule Castle, doing Aghanim's Tower. It's something that they're going to have to keep in mind, or at least Numberplay is going to have to keep in mind, depending on where the flute is.
Hitsuyan is checking another one of those key locations, and there's the Moon Pearl.
Oh, Pearl sitting in Sphere 0.
Yep, so that's our Dark World access. That really opens things up to where the flute could possibly be. But Hitsuyan looks like he's going to be making a beeline towards the Dark World, or not. He's making me a liar.
Nifboy making the same play up to Death Mountain, I think, here. I didn't quite see what the start of this dark room was, but I'm suspecting... Oh, no, never mind. Sorry, he is still in Eastern Palace.
Numberplay is also going to Eastern at this point in time. I believe this is where we found the Tower of Hera big key in here, so interesting at this point. Hitsuyan going over here, going to be doing Hype Cave. We'll see. We're at Hype Cave in sub 20 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. This is... And no sword yet. We know where it's at.
Here we go.
Sword.
So, given how early that the hammer and gloves and technically the Moon Pearl were accessible. Ooh, and there's the ice rod. But I'm expecting to see the flute kicking around somewhere here in the Dark World, in like early accessible Dark World places.
Absolutely. We could see it right now. The attractive options are going to be on the pyramid and maybe Catfish as well. Remember, we can't get to the western half of the Dark World. Thieves Town and Swamp Palace are 2 locations here.
Yeah, so that is a full set of information that we've got now.
Ice Rod was in that Hype Cave, so while Hype Cave wasn't great, it was certainly better than that mini Moldorm.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So we've got thalane heading up Death Mountain, doing the sequence break to Death Mountain. He's got that Tower of Hera big key, so it's going to be curious to see what comes of that if he decides to go upstairs.
Well, I believe he has the Tower of Hera big key as well as the small key, so thalane will be able to go ahead and full clear this.
Yeah, we never did see Numberplay do the basement. He sort of noped right out of there. And Nifboy making the same play, and with the same set of items, so one or both of them could go further into Tower of Hera than Numberplay did.
And I just saw, it's interesting because the old man ended up giving us the small key to Thieves Town, which we have the big key to Thieves Town already as well, I believe. Did we see that? No, we didn't see that. Never mind.
Not much I'm seeing on this South Dark World loop from Hitsuyan besides that ice rod, which is definitely required to complete the game, but it's sort of, once you find it, you're like, okay, well, I've got it, so only a big 20 in the digging game.
Yep, we're still pointing towards that pyramid and catfish check.
Yeah, it's either that or that Village of Outcasts / going to beat Mothula play.
Oh, that's right. We do have access to that. We just kind of have to go up and around and whoop-de-woo. So Hitsuyan is the only one with Dark World access right now. That Moon Pearl in Agina's cave, I'm not going to call it a trolley location. These runners have other options in terms of where they can go. They're just not doing it. Everyone's sequence breaking going up Tower of Hera right now.
Yeah, of all the things that could be in that cave, Moon Pearl is probably a pretty good one because that is a very early bottleneck as opposed to something ridiculous like the ice rod that only is useful in one place for one thing.
Numberplay getting trolled by the troll dorms here.
Oh, I think he's got it covered now. There we go. Ooh, and thalane taking a fall to Moldorm.
Troll Dorm's gonna troll.
Yeah. So we are gonna both see what's in the basement as well as what's on Moldorm.
As well as the Big Key and Ice Palace in the treasure chest game. So Hitsuyan making real efficient work, being the only one with Dark World access and really taking advantage of that at this point in time.
Yeah. From an execution standpoint, not required to beat the game, but it is important information. I think that was garbage on both sides of Hera.
Yeah, so Hera was a pendant and nothing but garbage. So yeah. Congrats, everyone. Although we say garbage, but we still think that this seed seems to be heavily pointing towards a possible pedestal seed, just with all the access that we have at this point. Still haven't found that flute, though.
No, still haven't found that flute. But and we don't know how late the boots are going to show, or not the boots, but rather the bow is going to show up. But I suspect we'll know sooner than later.
Absolutely. And Numberplay, oh no, Numberplay is doing a fake flipper right now, going to go up to check Hobo and what's on this island. The problem is he does not have the Moon Pearl, which is just a few screens over to his left. So he's not going to be able to sequence break and get the Waterfall Fairy in with this.
Well, that's 2 for 2 sort of early sequence break plays for Numberplay that are gonna possibly have to be redone later once. Well, as it turns out, that Tower of Hera play was not that great, so maybe that was good in the end.
And the Hobo does hold our Big Key to Misery Mire, which we know is required. Thalane leaving a bomb in Tower of Hera and saying, thanks for nothing.
Yeah. Hitsuyan, by the way, did find red mail in Thieves Town, which does sort of make that Skullwoods play a tiny bit more attractive. Not that much more attractive, since you can't really red mail your way out of spike damage, but...
No, and he's gotten a few more hearts, but still 6 hearts, red mail... it's so much nerves.
It's just, why is the seed pointing them towards all the pendants? Why?
Why not? I mean,
I am genuinely curious to see how this turns out.
I am too. I feel, and for people who have followed the tournament up to this point in time, ooh,
Well,
water toes.
yeah.
Hitsuyan pulls the flippers from Skullwoods. That's progression right there. That unlocks quite a bit, actually.
Yep. So, Skull Woods definitely at the very least requiring a dip.
I mean, I don't know too many runners who would absolutely avoid going to Skullwoods at any cost anyway, but
No, it's quick and cheap items. Not much else so far. Quarter heart. A couple more of those and it'll turn into a real heart.
and Numberplay is going to be the second one to find his Moon Pearl.
Oh, thank goodness. Only 10 arrows on the desert ledge, so not much good. Oh, and that is another trolley thing that a seed can do, is give you very, very early boots and very late sword. So you're running around, slamming into things that you really should be slicing through once you have a sword.
Absolutely. And Hitsuyan takes a wall master to the face, kind of get trolled up there, trapped between the statue and the door that wasn't cooperating. It's unfortunate. It happens, though.
Yeah, this is a terrible room to do without the red cane. An even worse room to do without a sword, so you can knock everybody out of the way. I think this is our first check that we're getting of sewer.
Yeah, this is an interesting check from thalane. It's the only check we've done, so if it ends up being something, it will put thalane squarely at an advantage. Oh
my. Well,
so all the value in Skullwoods, he gets the bow.
ooh. So this
So let me just clarify something here. So the only thing we're missing to be able to do a full pedestal check at this point in time is the Eastern Palace Big Key. Like, that's it. That's it.
And technically the flute. It's gonna be
Technically the flute.
Oh yeah, and sorry, a sword is also necessary to cut through that skull. A sword is basically the equivalent of the Skullwoods Big Key. It's what actually gets you into the back.
Watch, this is going to be a sword right here.
Here we go.
No, okay.
Well, it's pointy.
thalane and nifboy are on their way to get their Moon Pearl as well. They're probably going to be a little bit frustrated because they're at half an hour and this is about the last location that they can check.
Yeah. This is the only sword that we know of currently is still locked behind Titan's mitts, which we've not seen at all.
Absolutely. And Hitsuyan, unfortunately, is going through here without remembering that, yeah, that sword is required to cut down the nets. It's not required for swordless. It's already cut down. So he's looking at that and going, oh, wait.
That is such a common mistake that I managed to make it twice in this one game.
So Hitsuyan will now be checking some of these other locations that he avoided simply because he went to Dark World super early.
Very true. With those flippers, I'm curious how he's going to route this. So up to Eastern Palace to finish that off, I guess. It's a good early play.
Oh, so Numberplay releases the bee, and that's something you don't see terribly frequently. If you release the good bee in Kakariko Village and release it near the bottle vendor, he will give you 100 rupees for it.
Dude really likes bees.
That guy is Vitor. I mean, you can just see his name above him. It says Vitor.
Yeah. Appreciative of his Vitor.
So Hitsuyan looks like he avoided, or he came out over here to do Hobo, but wanted to go into the Dark World, so he's mirroring from here. This is kind of interesting Hobo routing.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether or not he continues on with this. It's his Misery Mire big key. Probably happy to see that nice and early on. Get that out of the way.
And thalane chases a fairy halfway across the Skull Woods area, and it just keeps running away.
You know, I don't know how those things are programmed in this game, but sometimes it seems like they just want your company and they come right to you. Sometimes they just want to get away.
So Hitsuyan is checking the pyramid. Remember, we were talking about this could be a vital location. We'll see what we have here. Nope.
A tiny bit disappointing. But in the end, possibly going to head up to Catfish. That seems like what's happening right now.
Yep, it's a solid play to make at this point in time.
The number of times that Catfish has those upgraded mitts makes me think this is probably a good play.
It's a real easy location to overlook, too, because it's so far out of the way. Now, Hitsuyan has not been up to this Zora part either, so we could see him routing that together, mirroring over. Oh no, and Numberplay, I think, is making the same mistake Hitsuyan did. Went ahead and got the key. He's coming over here. I hope he remembers.
Well, indeed. We'll have to see. Now, I'm thinking as well, we've had a huge collection of Palace of Darkness keys come up so far. And we have the bow and the hammer. Oh, well. Not as disappointing as a quarter heart, but still a little bit of a letdown.
Still kind of meh. Nifboy also picks up the bow. Thalane has the bow. There's our sword. We have a sword.
Oh, see, of course, it was right outside of...
Yep, on that wonderful graveyard ledge. We'll go ahead and route and check the King's Tomb here as well.
Just as a point of order here, with that being found, upgraded mitts are absolutely on the pedestal hype index.
Yep, at this point, everyone can take a look at what is on your screen. The only two things that cannot possibly be on the pedestal that these runners do not have right now are the flute and the Eastern Palace Big Key. Literally anything else can be on that pedestal.
Oh man, I wonder if we're going to see it. I'm getting a little excited about this.
I was saying earlier, and I think now's a good time. We're not going to be interrupted by anything awesome. For those people who have been in the community, I've done quite a few commentaries in my day. I think through all the open mode, I had over 50 commentary games that I matched up and tracked and did everything, I had not once to date have done a pedestal required seed on commentary.
Really?
Not once, no. Now, of course, this is also my first tournament that I've played in, and of course, third game in, required pedestal. So maybe the jinx is done, guys.
Maybe. Well, the first time that I did any commentary at all, it happened to be a pedestal required, AGA 1 required Keysanity seed.
Nah. I mean, that was exactly what it was last night. Nah.
And it wasn't actually technically AGA required. It was just Aghanim led to the Ice Palace Big Key, which of course you can completely ignore if you can do the Ice Palace bomb jump.
Oh, that would be horrible. All right, so in the meantime, back to here, we have both thalane and nifboy in Thieves Town. Now, I could swear someone pulled a Thieves Town Big Key somewhere. I'm having trouble reading it on the tracker, though.
Numberplay about to be very excited about this this one finally accessible sword. I'm curious if he's going to make his way back to Skull Woods after this. It's right next door. Well, I suppose he's going to have to do King's Tomb first. That does make sense.
Yep, so we'll see.
No, disappointing. This pedestal ticker is ticking up and up and up slowly in my mind, but what is also ticking up and up is that they've got to make a dip into Palace of Darkness at some point. Can't
Feels
put it
like
off forever.
Yeah, it's real. It feels like it, doesn't it? I mean, if we find any other progression before the Eastern Palace Big Key, I would still keep following that line. But, at this point in time, everyone's just kind of checking over other locations that each other have checked. Yeah. So I think as soon as we find something new, be it if it's the Eastern Palace Big Key, go full throttle and pull the ped blind if you absolutely have to. If not, you follow whatever the thread is.
I would love to see an Eastern Palace Big Key be the only progression that we find in Palace of Darkness.
Now, the interesting thing to note is that because Palace of Darkness does also have dark rooms, we're not intended to clear it until we at least have the flute.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. Which, by the way, where is that thing?
Yeah, I mean, we've done so much up to this point in time. Where is it? Come on.
Because
let's get some guesses in chat.
The later excuse me, the later this flute gets put off in the seed, the more and more double dips that the seed wanted you to do into dark areas. At this point, it's getting a little ridiculous.
I don't disagree with you at all. And here's the interesting thing. I mean, the later and later the flute is, the more and more valuable that sequence break became, because all those double dips that you're referencing become. I mean, that's just that much more that those runners skip to being able to do that dark room.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. Which, speaking of, Hitsuyan, shortly after becoming very disappointed with Tower of Hera, is about to find that sequence broken boots and that sequence broken lantern and become much more happy about this sequence break.
Absolutely. So just to clear everything else, yes, everyone, Lamp is on Death Mountain. It's in the eastern part of Death Mountain. It was right next to the boots in the Paradox Cave that's up there. So that's why we say that according to the logic, in order to get up to Death Mountain at all, you have to have either the Lamp or the Flute. So with Lamp up there, Flute is our access to Death Mountain. Where is it? And since Tower of Hera is a pendant, and in addition to that, also Eastern Palace has dark rooms, which require you to get up to Death Mountain to get it. That's why we're saying the Flute absolutely cannot be on the pedestal.
Interestingly, we are, I think, getting that Mothula play out of Numberplay. This, I desperately want to see where this goes.
Yep, I think we were seeing Numberplay do some practice. I believe he was the one loaded up the practice ROM before this match started, doing things like Mothula and some of the other boss kills just as a warm-up.
Yeah, stocking up on some hearts and magic.
Man, Numberplay has so little magic at this point in time and only Fighter Sword.
Well, the saving grace here is they did find that blue potion, but that is about it. Was Numberplay? It wasn't Numberplay who used his bottle to get $100, right?
It might have been. I don't remember.
So, very, very possibly B strats on Mothula. I mean, I always hope to see Bs come out in all sorts of different situations, but I guess not today.
Nope, he's going to Fighter Sword it. He's not going to try to hammer it.
Oh, I hope this works out. It's going good so far.
Yeah, he's doing quite well at this point in time.
Nicely done.
Does not. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Smoky to Misery Mire. Junk. But that is the green pendant, so we may see a Sahasrara turn in.
Meanwhile, we got Thalane becoming disappointed with the pyramid check, and in a few minutes, the check on Catfish. I would suspect a whole bunch of disappointing shit. Well, actually, Nifboy picking up that big key to Turtle Rock. That's not disappointing.
I was going to say, this is Keysanity. It's just constant disappointment. Like, it's a real thick disappointment sandwich with a few slices of hope in between there, just to give you a little bit of taste.
Yeah. Oh, at this point, Flute has become just a massive bottleneck. Well, Flute and upgraded gloves.
Upgraded gloves are kind of a known bottleneck. I mean, that happens kind of all the time. Pod is still a very attractive guess at this point in time, but otherwise we're just kind of, what else can we do?
Yeah, somebody needs to make their way into Pod, which I think is what Numberplay is doing, and I'm hoping that Thalane that's what's happening right now, is that he's headed back down and is going to make that Pod play.
I mean, at least you have the bow, so you can kind of, you can't, and the hammer, so you can go ahead and bypass one of the key door requirements.
Well, I'm a liar. Numberplay's headed right out of there.
Thalane is not, though.
Yeah. The one thing I was excited about was Numberplay has that green pendant. I was hoping to see that turned in, but...
It was a piece of heart.
Oh, it was?
Yes, it was. That's where he went up there.
I'm just blind. Well, here we go. This has to be it at this point. I don't think there's anything left.
There is one other play, but it would be... how should we say, Trolley?
What's that you're thinking of?
The one treasure chest in Swamp Palace. We don't have the small key yet, but...
Yeah, gross. Oh.
Oh, hookshot! Hookshot! That's still gross.
That's not even the... That's not even the thing we...
It's still a sequence break, guys. Don't go there.
Yep.
Don't fall for it.
That's right, and a Quake medallion of unknown usefulness in the sewers.
Hitsuyan is now checking some of these other kind of etc. graveyard area locations. Or was.
Nifboy going to be exceptionally pleased about picking up that sword. You gotta be happy at 45 minutes in when that is when you pick up your... Oh.
Fetch quests.
Hod, what are you doing?
Do you want to do a fetch quest?
This dungeon is ridiculous. It's always the play, but it's always the worst.
Oh!
My goodness.
And there's Titansmiths.
All right.
That opens up quite a bit. Nothing we want, though.
Yeah, we're starting to unravel some of this ridiculous chain.
So Pod was absolutely the play at this point in time.
Tossing the bomb down in the hole, trying to take out some of those turtles. I don't think that's how it works, though.
No, I don't think so either.
Well, this is the thing, right? Is that East Death Mountain is functionally open, but still logically blocked.
Absolutely. We're still holding out hope for that flute. The problem is that it just opened things up quite a bit to where the flute could possibly be. All of a sudden, Ice Palace becomes an option.
Yep. Or whatever stupid thing ends up on the mushroom. This is like, I guess how you play this becomes sort of conditional on the situation. I think in my case, the fact that I knew that I was looking for the flute means that I would probably give precedence over to plays that were just recently opened up, as opposed to heading out and trying to use my new upgraded mitts to head to East Death Mountain. Not sure. It really depends on the situation, I guess.
I tend to agree with you. I think I would follow... I would follow the mitt logic to something like Ice Palace, simply because going to dark East Death Mountain at this point in time is still sequence breaking because of the not having the flute.
Yeah, true. It's more likely... Ooh.
Oh! That's it!
Oh, no. Oh, no.
We can pull the pen, people!
Oh.
The dream is alive!
Oh, no! Oh, my goodness. Palace of Darkness. Why you gotta be like this?
My body is ready. Let's do it!
Yeah, hop over there. Let's do your bomb jump. Let's see what we can find.
Here's the problem that we're going to find, though, is that at the same time that we get, all the progression upgrade, we have mitts, hookshot, flute, and the Eastern Palace Big Key. Because so much just opened. Oh, and look, there's the Desert Palace Big Key, just
so that's
for grins and giggles.
That's now full clearable.
Like, what else do we... What is... Oh my god.
Okay. So, Ganon's Tower, big key on the pedestal. Is that what we're thinking?
I mean, we still have things like Kingdom of Samaria that can be on the pedestal. Whatever medallions are used, Swamp Palace, small key could still possibly be there. But a lot of our hopes and prayers and dreams were crushed there.
Yeah. Stupid Palace of Darkness. Why you gotta be like this? This is... I thought pedestal was gonna juke our runners, but wound up I was the one who was juked all along.
This feels like a fairy tale I've heard somewhere before. It was you that was juked all along.
Oh, man. All right. Well, at least all of our runners are in Palace of Darkness or leaving Palace of Darkness. So bottleneck has been unraveled.
Yeah. Everything was in pod. Absolutely everything was in pod that you could possibly think of.
Yeah. So now we haven't seen anybody pop out and go to eat. Well, I guess the only person who could possibly have done that was thalane. Hasn't popped out and gone to Eastern, opting to go to the Meyer shed, finding that big key to Beefstown.
Well, hi there, guys. I mean, thanks. If you're gonna crush my dreams, thank you for doing it all like within a 5-minute period and not, because we had the Desert Palace big key as well.
We certainly did. We've already found the Meyer big key, so unless that cane winds up being somewhere incredibly trolly like the pedestal. We didn't find the small key to Desert Palace, I believe, which does make this a little bit more rough, but not really that much.
Yep. We did see Ether was required to get into Misery Mire itself, so...
That's true.
So that is still required. Never mind.
This...
Hang on, where's my commentator's curse? I'm just going to flood chat with...
This game is ridiculous.
Oh my gosh. So this became very quickly kind of a, for lack of a better term, a jet seat. I mean, we don't even have a single crystal yet.
Yeah, I mean, if you did an early pod play, an incredible amount of the seed could have just been ignored.
So thalane is going through Desert Palace, which is the only crystal in the light world. Remember, Eastern Palace and Tower of Hera are both pendants. We have seen both clearing of Skull Woods, which is the Dark World pendant, and Tower of Hera. So pedestal isn't completely dead, but by goodness,
it
feels like it.
The other thing we don't have yet is any invincibility safety items. So we don't have any of those. Some of our fetch quest stuff like book and shovel are missing, and powder. Like all of the fetch quest stuff is missing except basically.
Yep. Worthy to note, Hitsuyan is going over here to Eastern.
Ooh. Banking on that pedestal.
Banking on the pedestal, maybe.
Maybe. Interesting. The other thing is, we know where Master Sword is, and that is it.
Yeah, this is... I mean, Chad is asking about Ganon Tower Big Key on pedestal. That's still very likely, but there's not quite the ton of progression that we were hoping was going to be on the ped.
Yeah, Palace of Darkness kind of unlocked too many things at the same time. It's gonna be interesting to see where people go, and also it's gonna kind of be interesting in terms of, like, there are now so many available chests. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, the size of the world just doubled, and the available chests just quintupled. Thalane making quick work, defeats Landmolus, and is going immediately to Misery Mire. Does have the Misery Mire big key, so this is in logic, except there's no cane.
Better hope to find it in there. Which, you know what? Vanilla red cane in this game feels weirdly common. Maybe more common than it should be.
I mean, at this point, why not?
Sure.
You know, my hopes and dreams are already dead.
Yeah. My big disappointment is, where's that book? Can we at least know what's on there?
Well, we will eventually, one way or the other.
Once the game finishes and our hopes and dreams have truly been dashed.
Well, it does feel like Hitsuyan is trying his absolute best to follow the logic. And, I mean, this is going to be the second pendant and the final pendant overall, so maybe he's following the logic and might be pulling it.
So this is the big question, is what do we have on Armos Knights? The small key 2.
Dark Pass. Oh my god.
So they wanted you to go in there, get your Eastern Palace big key so that you could leave, go get your other pod key so that you could clear out the rest of the dungeon.
Seed's gonna troll. Who made this seed?
Oh,
Willard, where are you?
Some jerk, I'm sure.
We do see Nifboy actually over here in Eastern as well, so we might have 2 pod or ped checks.
Oh boy.
That Willard face is like my absolute favorite, ever.
Yeah. Well, nice heart container in Misery Mire. Boy golly, we finally got a full row.
Sure doesn't feel like it though, does it? But with red mail, a full row, that's not bad.
No. Sure, they're fine. All these hearts. This is not what we need from you, Mire. We need some sort of progression.
You know what? I'm fine with Meyer just being complete troll and having nothing. I'm fine with that.
I'm sure. I guess we still haven't found the Swamp Palace small key yet either, have we?
That was nice having, right as a fireball was coming to his face, he pulls the red shield. Kind of fun.
That was... I saw that, but it didn't register in my head because that's never a thing that happens.
Hitsuyan now is going to be the first one up. Hitsuyan was the last one to go up to the light side of East Death Mountain. Now it's going to be the first one to do Dark Death Mountain right now.
Well, this is a logically possible move.
It is, and I can imagine him routing... Oh, he's already done Tower of Hera, never mind.
Hopefully we'll get that Turtle Rock medallion check in, though. And hopefully it's Bombos. Because why not?
Because when you can. And then Bombos is going to be in Hookshot Cave.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why not just leave all the necessary medallions just kicking around outside of where they belong.
Small key to Desert Palace.
Oh no. Uh-oh.
Keep in mind, Hitsuyan hasn't been to Desert Palace, so he will be able to route that in and right there with it.
Yeah, there is a chance that heading up here first was actually the play. We are Ether again. All right, well, then who knows what direction was the correct one to go in first.
So we see Numberplay, our first one into Thieves Town. Meanwhile, Thalane is actually over in Ice Palace now. I do believe Ice Palace, I mean, Thalane's going to have a little bit of difficulty because he does not have any keys, but not necessarily required, just takes some more time.
No, it's not the worst play. The first chests in here are going to be the most important. Whatever we see in there. Like a map to Dark Palace. Oh boy.
I'm excited, aren't you?
A little bit. Well, Thieves Town also, I would say, a pretty high percentage play. Hitsuyan picking up his first sword happens to be the one on the ledge there. This actually might have been why he came here rather than doing the play on Misery Mire or anything like that, because, you know, he didn't have a sword. He was the only one to not have a sword. He hadn't checked that graveyard ledge yet.
Oh, that's right. That's where it was. I was going to ask, where was that other sword? In Graveyard Ledge, right.
So maybe a small blessing in disguise if anything ends up in the right side of Desert Palace.
And we see Hitsuyan actually taking time to do the Spike Cave check. Has to, very close to dying, but pulls out the cape just in time.
Nicely done, but unfortunately, not just a map, but the one map that you don't want to find. Well, one of the two maps that you don't want to find, I guess. Nothing really happening inside Thieves Town either. I mean, we'll see once we manage to hand off Blind, convert her into a giant floaty monster, and take her down. Which I might add is a little bit more difficult when all you have is the fighter's sword. It is not as long as the other swords are. A little bit difficult to specifically get her in the head. Excellent first phase, though. Going down for the second. Meanwhile, Nifboy about to also be a little bit disappointed at the contents of Spike Cave. Blind is down and has a whole $1. Wow. So exciting. Oh, there is that Swamp Palace small key on Thalane's side. That was indeed in Ice Palace, and I believe, according to... Oh, I may be wrong about that. I might be a little bit wrong about that. I'm trying to specifically remember my my Ice Palace routing, but the hookshot may negate it. It might not, but I'm not 100% sure whether or not that that Swamp Palace small key was actually in Logic. I think it was, but
I think it is, all things said, so.
Yeah. So, I mean, with that, we're almost certainly going keys to Ice Palace in Swamp Palace, because Keysanity thinks double dips are funny.
I swear there's like it's not a god of Keysanity. It's more like an essence of Keysanity that is out there laughing and just trolling and enjoying suffering.
Yeah, if it's a god, it's Loki. Just messing things up and laughing at everybody. There's that pod, Big Key.
There she be.
Now, time out for a second. Oh, never mind. We found the Ice Palace Big Key ages ago.
Yep.
I
Oh my. Kane of Samaria in Desert Palace, right side.
Oh no! That is
My
exactly.
God.
That is the one thing. That was going to be terrible for the two runners who already went into Desert Palace. Oh man.
Yep. That's terrible / hilarious.
So we've got two things left for pedestal. One of them being Ganon's Tower Big Key, and the other one being just a pile of things that would contain the Desert Palace Big Key. And by pile of things, I mean 3 things.
Yeah, so, I mean, shout out to you, Fant. You called it early on. Everything trolling us, pointing us towards a pedestal required seed, and nope.
I didn't mean to. It was an accident.
Liar.
I'm secretly sitting here behind the scenes, feeding the seed items in locations. No, I'm not that smart. Well, Kane wasn't in Misery Mire this, but with it in Desert Palace, it may as well have been in Misery Mire. And absolutely 100% heading up to East Death Mountain first was the correct play.
Absolutely. So Hitsuyan is now on his Landless fight. Nifboy also collecting it. Now, Nifboy has the Master Sword, so is in a little bit better shape than Hitsuyan at this point in time.
Yep. Meanwhile, solid fight from thalane. Despite not having half magic and not having bombos, and having fighter's sword, manages to take out Cold Stare.
Fighter Sword Cold Stare is an absolutely unforgiving fight. I mean, that's very impressive being able to do that.
Yeah, that hammer hitbox is not very big, and those puffballs are not very friendly.
Nope, so Hitsuyan coming over here. Going to be checking Checkerboard Cave. Don't think we found anything important here.
Numberplay apparently got a poke on Moldorm because he is angry. Now he's dead.
Thalane over in Thieves Town now. So let's see. Let's keep track of what we're missing because we can clear Ice Palace. I swear we have the big key to Misery Mire, so we can clear Misery Mire, can't we?
We can indeed. We found that pretty early on.
And with both the cane, 2 ice rods, how many? I mean, you need at least 3 small keys to Turtle Rock, but we do have the Turtle Rock big key as well.
Yeah, we do. I mean, collectively, I think we found 3 keys to Turtle Rock after visiting, the stuff that's been unlocked lately. I think one of them was in Hookshot Cave, although I don't precisely remember.
I mean, they were everywhere.
As they always are. Well, that is a full clear of Turtle Rock. Hopefully, our bottom two runners having that cane won't get baited into there too early.
There's no such thing as too early. Early Turtle Rock dips for everyone, I say.
I don't know about that. How long till our top two runners manage to make their way up to Death Mountain and find out that is... Oh, actually, Numberplay now has the small key to Death Mountain. He's been making that play. Or small key to Desert Palace, rather. Small key to Death Mountain, that's not a thing. Small key to Desert Palace.
I thought you meant Tower of Hera, because small key there, you know.
The one. No, I'm just getting my phrases that start with D mixed up. There's a lot of them in this game.
You're absolutely right, Fantalis. There are a lot of D's in this game. There's a lot of D's in our community too, but you know.
Oh boy, Maya requires Quake, Ether, or Bombos? Gosh. Thanks, Blind. For somebody who's...
That's the greatest pun ever.
This is exciting from nifboy. We're going to be able to see a full clear of Meyer and figure out whether... Noticing our bottom two runners, neither of them picked up that Quake medallion, which was in the sewers castle. Hopefully that won't become necessary, and that's going to be sort of... I mean, they're both in the same race together, so hopefully neither of them find themselves in wasting that time in the sewers under Hyrule Castle.
I mean, that's one of those quick plays that I'm sure some people check frequently. But yeah, I mean, that's just another couple minutes saved for those particular runners.
You know, if they don't find that Ganon's Tower big key soon, they're going to wind up clearing a lot of dungeons that are potentially unnecessary to full clear. It's going to be unfortunate for them.
Entertaining for us, I mean.
Bit of a nail biter.
If they don't find it, I mean, there's always a pedestal.
There is always a pedestal. There continues to be in my heart. I would love to see Book Pedestal Ganon's Tower Biggie on one of the tablets. Because again, Book Pedestal is my favorite pedestal.
Absolutely. Storybook.
It's like, how are you supposed to know what you're supposed to do with the pedestal if you don't have the book? You can't read what's on it. How did he know go up there and pull that sword out and have it transform itself into a book? What is this game? Doesn't make any sense.
If you're looking for sense, well, I know a sub shop you should go to.
Yeah. If you're looking for things to make sense, go play NMG. This is Randomizer.
Where the rules are made up and logic doesn't matter.
Oh boy, how is this Vitreous fight going to go with no silver arrows? And he does have 28 arrows, and that's pretty okay. But
well, there's a couple different strats. I mean, he has the cape, so he can use some dash strats. He has 28 bombs. I like bomb strats myself. Maybe I'm just kind of old school like that.
I mean, in a tournament scenario, that might be a little bit slow.
Maybe. Thalane looks like he's going Swamp Palace, though.
Yeah, this is new information. We're going to see some stuff here. Maybe something we want to see. Maybe something we don't want to see.
If you're thalane, what do you not want to see?
Well, what you don't want to see is both shovel and powder on left side. Because then you went all the way to left side and you don't even know whether it was worth your time.
All right, Nifboy is using cape strats, but is out of magic now, so we'll have to back out and kind of play baseball with these vitreous eyes.
I think that is plenty of health to be able to finish this fight off. Ooh. I was gonna say, almost the lightning almost juked him, but
and he walked into it.
Yeah. You know what I kind of want to see inside Swamp Palace, or what I'd love to see inside Swamp Palace, would be the silver arrows, because I have a sneaking suspicion that some of our runners might get into a scenario, depending on how early we find Ganon's Sour Big Key, where they wind up getting to go mode Swamp Palace. If that's the case, then some friendly helper item that's in here that people wind up missing, something like the silver arrows or tempered sword, might play a big difference between runners in individual races.
Well, in particular, if all you have is Master Sword, then Silvers would cut that Ganon fight in, what, an eighth?
Yeah, that is absolutely true. I have been regularly practicing that Master Sword Ganon fight lately, because it winds up being the difference maker in so many runs if you wind up having to get there with Master Sword. Ganon falls hurt, missing spins hurts, everything hurts.
Yep. All right, so let's take stock real quick. You know, Numberplay has cleared 3 dungeons. Thalane has cleared 4. Nifboy has cleared 3. Hitsuyan has cleared 4. Now, the problem is that we don't know if it's a pedestal required seed. So for advantage right now,
I think Bed might be dead.
Yeah.
Ah.
Ganon's Tower Big Key.
Time called. 1 hour, 17 minutes into the pedestal has died.
Okay, so, I mean, that cleanly puts Thalane at advantage right now. He's the only one with the Ganon Tower Big Key, only one to go into Swamp Palace. He does not yet have Cane of Samaria, but realistically, Cane of Samaria is in, where was it?
Right side of Desert Palace.
Right side. Oh, okay. So he's already cleared that. So it might be a little bit of time. Thalane is going to be have an advantage in terms of the pure crystal counts. But yeah, that Swamp Palace check on the right side depends on when he decides to go back. Numberplay is about to get his 3rd crystal. Hitsuyan is on his way through to get his 3rd crystal, and Nifboy has 1 crystal right now. So the problem that Nifboy is running into, he has all the items, and I'm sure everything is relatively linear right now, but it's just a matter of, you know, that Cane of Samaria in the right side of Desert for Hitsuyan and Nifboy. Those two are running against each other, so in their race, I think Hitsuyan has a bit of an advantage at this point in time. Thalane and Numberplay, we're just waiting on them to make the call.
Yeah.
Who goes to Desert Palace first?
So So we've got 3 of our runners who have just found or are just about to find that Swamp Palace small key. I am curious how early they're going to attempt to route that in there, especially like we just saw, given that the Dark Palace big key is in here as well. I don't think that Turtle Rock small key is going to troll anybody particularly much.
No, I do not believe so. We're in kind of good shape at this point in time.
Yeah, they're probably feeling pretty comfortable. There's plenty of stuff left to check, but it's a lot of dungeon stuff. They're an hour and 20 minutes in. You got to be feeling pretty good about how you're doing so far, I think.
Well, and this seed has just been ridiculous. We didn't really get our first crystal until a little bit ago, but guess what? We're almost in go mode.
We certainly are. Could we say that we're in no mode? Is what
Yep.
the youngins call it.
The youngins.
Yeah, we are not looking for anything else. We are just looking for our players here to make the right plays.
Now, it's interesting because I think the runners are still going to be checking at least the convenient chest locations for a few things. Silvers and another sword. For example, both Thalane and Hitsuyan are sitting here with only fighter sword. Hitsuyan has not picked up his second sword that is located in the graveyard ledge. Thalane has not picked up his second sword that was located on the floating island on Death Mountain.
Oh, you're absolutely right. So Thalane knows where to go get that sword, but Hitsuyan, unless we figure out where a third sword upgrade is sometime soon, Hitsuyan's going to be in a little bit of trouble heading into the rest of the seed. He's got plenty of dungeons that can be completed right now, but nothing really guiding him up to that graveyard ledge, which would be a huge help in clearing these out.
And we're having a bit of a pool party on top. Both Thalane and Numberplay are now in Swamp Palace.
Good on them. This is going to be helpful. Well, there's our other pod key in left side swamp. Lane just picked that up. I suspect immediately after that, the reason he's not mirroring out and heading into or using the flute is probably because he's headed straight to Palace of Darkness, or maybe not. Maybe I'm a liar. Maybe he's going to do a Fat Fairy.
It's all right. Runners make liars out of all of us.
It looks like they're going to do one thing and then... Oof.
So the lane is picking up the big bomb, so we're going to do the Pyramid Fairy. Not anything that we know is here. So, maybe silvers or a sword. If it's silvers, vanilla silvers would be odd.
Vanilla silvers and vanilla sword, I would be absolutely hyped for a 100% vanilla Fat Fairy sword upgrade and arrow upgrade.
Well, I think the lane would be completely hyped for that, but we'll see what the lane ends up pulling from here.
Wow.
A whole lot of worthless.
Good stuff.
I don't know anyone who would be. Skullwood small keys are absolutely worthless. And 10 arrows.
Yeah. No, the Skullwood small key is one of the few small keys in the game where not only does it have no technical use, but it also tells you absolutely nothing.
So I have a question as we see Mog swimming through the water. Does Mog smell like wet dog? after he's been swimming? I mean, I'm legitimately curious.
I mean, wet fur always smells the same, right? Unless I'm crazy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just nasty.
I think it's a question worth asking because, let's face it, I'm not taking Mog into my party if he's getting wet. That's just... that no one wants to live through that.
No, you don't want him in your hot tub, that's for sure.
All right, so Thalane's back in pod, has the pod small key, or has the pod big key now, so we'll be able to go ahead and clear this dungeon out, but wants to double check this treasure chest. But Hitsuyan's already there, and I completely missed talking about it. So,
yeah, I was about to say we're gonna get our check and figure out specifically what kind of useless it is. Whether it's your regular useless, like a big 20, or a troll useless, like if a book was found there.
oh, book. I do want to see someone at least see what's on the pedestal.
At the very least, our bottom two runners aren't going to get trolled into searching around for that cane, but the top two runners might have a problem if anything like that shows up. Fortunately, it was just a completely vanilla heart container.
And Numberplay finds his big key to Ganon's tower, so his go mode is also going to be that cane. It's interesting, Numberplay has not yet been to Desert Palace, so I imagine of the two, Numberplay is going to be the first to go back there to get that go mode item.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, at the very least, they'll be able to go mode Turtle Rock properly, because they can't even get in there without the cane. But
oh, so Numberplay did check DP. He got Ether and the Desert Palace big chest, but he hasn't beaten it. So still, because that is a crystal, I can foresee Numberplay still going there first.
yeah, Thalane is going to be the one I think who's in trouble here, having actually taken out Land Mollis.
Where is that Desert Palace big key, though? I guess is the question, because I think you're right. I don't think Numberplay actually has that big key. Pod Darkness. Okay.
Ooh. That's right. So actually, finding that pod big key on the left side of Swamp here may actually be really, really good for him.
Yep, he might finish up pod, end up getting that particular key. Now, I really, 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 really hope that Numberplay does not spend that big key in order to get, or I hope he doesn't run out of keys in order to get to Helmasaur and then foregoes that. That would initiate a soft lock situation, wouldn't it?
Possibly. I think we found all 6 pod keys at this point. I'm not sure off the top of my head if any of them were locked behind any of the sort of late pod checks. In any case, I'm fairly certain that Numberplay knows how to hammer you up. Should be fine. It's getting tougher and tougher to remember which runners you've seen do hammer yumps and which you've seen do this trick or that trick.
At some point, you just look at their record and say, yep, they probably know it.
Yeah. You've won a game in this tournament, you probably know some trick.
Unless you're me and just get dumb lucky.
It's also a decent possibility.
Oh, so Thalane is climbing up Death Mountain at this point in time, probably going up at least for a sword, maybe to go ahead and do that Dark Death Mountain area entirely.
Well, I hope so. I mean, at the very least, having that Master Sword has to be a huge relief going into your last sort of stretch of the game. Hoping to find that cane right outside of Turtle Rock. It'd be a little bit disappointed.
No, Numberplay is going to check this treasure chest. He's out of ideas, I think.
Well, at some point he's got to be led back to Pod. He might be trying to route this in sort of efficiently. Although, where did he leave his warp? I guess I missed that. No, he's headed back to Pod. He was just trying to route the entire pyramid in at the same time.
Thalane there did just pick up his Desert Palace small key, so that's now open up to him. You have the routing to go get your key to the game, Thalane. You just have to go there.
Once he finds absolutely nothing else here, be at the front of his mind. Go back. Check Desert Palace. It's right there.
You can do it!
And Master Sword for Vitreous? Boy, what a blessing.
Well, better than fighters, absolutely.
Yeah. Better than useless. Yeah. Fighter Sword spins on Vitreous. I think you can do in this game.
Yep, Numberplay is pulling out his bomb, so he is absolutely getting ready to do his bomb jump.
Here we go. So that means we've got a chance that both of these runners are going to be making a rush on Desert Palace at the same time.
And that would put them really, really close together here.
Well, that's silly. I guess I missed that over on Thalane's.
Bombos!
Yeah, that's no fun.
And the Desert Palace big key. So if that doesn't guide Numberplay back there, I don't know what does.
It's gotta. Oh yeah, and that other Turtle Rock key. So that's perfect. He's all set up, ready for the end of the game. Spike Cave Miss Metroid was unfortunately just a... No, it wasn't. It was a map. It was a map to Hyrule Castle. Sorry, whenever I don't remember where something was, I just slot in a quarter hard because I assume it was garbage. What was that dumb thing I checked an hour ago? It was probably quarter hard.
See, I usually just say big 20 because so you're more generous than I am. And Thalane makes a beeline to the right location.
Ooh. We've also got a almost synced up Argus kill here at the bottom half.
Just about. Those two have a great race going on. The only difference is that Nifboy has to do Thieves Town, Hitsuyan has to do Misery Mire, but they're both,
Thalane has immediately realized that he was didn't even go to the back half of that right side of Desert Palace. Found that cane, noped right out of there.
He knew exactly what he was looking for. Thalane is going to be clearing everything out incredibly quickly.
So Numberplay lagging a little bit behind here. Hopefully he can catch up. He's not that far behind. He's just a pod boss. And also, hopefully, well, he's a pod boss as well as an entire desert clear behind.
At this point, it's probably looking about 4 Ganon Falls behind or so.
Yeah. Oh, you're absolutely right. Numberplay has Mothula down. and I think is the only one to have actually done so. That probably is what made up the difference there.
Yep, because Mothula ended up not being anything. I mean, it was a green pendant, and then Sahasrara didn't really have anything.
And that stupid pedestal. Those stupid pedestal jukes.
This was, I mean, I don't know if I've seen a seed that tried to shine a gigantic, bright, clear, golden, wavy path to the pedestal and then said, no, not required.
So yeah, 2 surprisingly close races, making up the difference. Few checks and clears, the difference between the two. So you're Thalane. You have hit go mode. You have no silver arrows. You have no tempered sword. Do you make any more checks here while you're going through Turtle Rock?
If anything is on my way, I will check it. But if, like, the general rule of thumb is if it will take me more than 30 seconds to make a check, I'll go ahead and do the check. Because the amount of time I would save if it happens to be something I really need, like in this case, a tempered sword or silvers, would be beneficial. But more than that, I would be afraid to do it simply because it would be a greater waste of time to collect it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tournament. If you lose because of bad execution, you lost because of bad execution. But at least you knew that you played the right plays. Find that other king in the bottom. We should mention, I believe both of our other runners are in go mode as well, or recognize that they are, because Hitsuyan went just straight to the basement of Misery Mire, and Nifboy has completely bypassed all 3 of the chests accessible in the lobby and is heading, not even looking at that big chest, just heading straight to the big key door.
That's interesting. I'm a little concerned because Nifboy did go to Turtle Rock here, but I'm showing that he still has Pod to clear, still has Thieves Town to clear. So I don't know if this was the best play for Nifboy. If you can route everything else, Turtle Rock, you want that to be your last.
Yeah, it's pretty weird doing this first, especially if there's a chance that you could find tempered sword either on Helmasaur or on Blind. I mean, it's a low chance that you could possibly do that, but if it is at all possible, I'd go for it.
Hitsuyan using bomb strats.
There you go.
My favorite.
You got your wish.
Hitsuyan, you are my hero.
With that red mail just tanking those eyeballs. Doesn't even care. Tossing those bombs in. I admire your bravado, bud.
He's trying, man.
Nifboy is, as it turns out, making a laser bridge check. This is interesting. This I did not expect. I guess it is a lot faster. The other 3 chests that are in the lobby, you kind of have to really go out of your way for them. But if he does find tempered here...
Yeah, so like what I said for 30 seconds, because there's 4 treasure chests here, that would be 2 minutes or so. All
right, headed off to Trinex. We've got one player entering Mire, one player exiting, one player entering entered Turtle Rock a little bit ago, one player finishing it up.
So this ought to be an interesting Trinex fight. We're going to see a lot of menuing back and forth because hammer strats.
Yeah, this is second only to the Argus.
Yeah, we have hammer strats, no half magic. And I think Nifboy is also out of potion as well. I did not check that though.
Yeah, this could get a little bit hairy. Might have to wait until Trinex is closer, right-hand side in order to... Oh, no, he doesn't think he has enough.
Yep, and that's too bad for Nifboy. Really unfortunate, but he'll be able to flute away and then flute back.
It's a bit of a hike up there, but it's not impossible. You at least don't have to go all the way through the dungeon again.
Absolutely. And remember, they got 3 bottles, like, right away. So,
yeah.
And they have more money than they know what to do with.
I mean, I don't want to say get rid of that bee, but just get rid of that bee. Just let him go.
It's okay.
He wants to live with the flowers and the bushes. Or not. Keep him around, you know.
I was going to say, do we actually ever see any flowers in this game?
There are some of the grass sprites have little flowers in them.
Okay.
Yeah, I can understand not paying attention to the grass sprites when you're just dashing through them with a sword, playing lawnmower.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the grass is only good for rupees.
That's what I think when I enter the beautiful gardens in my town. Like, I wonder if there's any money in there.
If that's not what you're thinking, you're in the wrong community. So Thalane will now try his hand over here at this horrible menu hammer strats. Does first part the firehead a little bit cleaner, but there's still ice on the floor.
Yeah. Hate it when they pop off that ice. It makes this menu strat so much more difficult. So much more difficult to get back over to that head. I think he's got it, though. Yeah.
All right, so Numberplay is off to Turtle Rock himself. Thalane is finishing up his Trinex kill in the last phase.
That was a vanilla Turtle Rock key that we just saw on Hitsuyan's side in Chain Shop.
Oh, nice.
So T-Rock is full clearable. I bet you there's a sword in the big key chest.
I'm not checking. I don't care how many keys you give me. I'm not opening that treasure chest.
No, he's...
Oh, and literacy!
Come on. What a tease. We're not going to get to see a pedestal back.
Nope. And everyone knows they're in go mode right now. So Thalane is on his way up to Ganon's tower with enough keys, and the big key will be making quick work here. Nifboy will still have to clear out Pod and Thieves Town, so we'll have to end up heading back down Death Mountain. Hitsuyan and Numberplay, though, once they clear out Turtle Rock, they will be good to go as well to Ganon's tower. So Nifboy and Hitsuyan are pretty close. Numberplay and Thalane, Numberplay is about a dungeon behind, but a go mode dungeon behind.
Vulgar, you are right. Still needs that sword. Might gamble trying to find it on the way up Ganon's tower, but it's a tough gamble. I do think it's interesting. The fact that he found that vanilla key in Turtle Rock meant that he completely got to bypass having to steal that key off of the Pokey, which in the end probably wound up shaving, 30 seconds off of clearing this dungeon.
Every little bit helps.
Still is our second runner who is go mode, but is opting to check Laser Bridge, and I don't blame them. It's going to unfortunately not turn out well for them, but it's still with the desire to stay away from Master Swords Ganon.
That's a strong, strong desire there. And thalane is going to use the safety door over here. Solid. I mean, was running a little bit low on health, so nice play. So, what's going through Fantalus if you're these runners and you don't see a dot done yet at this stage in the game?
145 is pretty early for Keysanity. I think at this point, all of them are in, Hitsuyan is still not quite in go mode, unfortunately, but the rest of them are in go mode. I think Nifboy is thinking, boy, it's great that I'm in go mode, but I have all these dungeons left to keep clear before I can climb Ganon's Tower. Thinking that at 145 is probably not great. Thalane is probably thinking this is amazing. Climbing the gauntlet at 145, and it's gotta feel good. We might see a sub 2, depending on how his Master Sword Silverless Ganon Fu is.
Yeah, and thalane has done fairly well in the execution department of this particular run, so it'll be interesting to see his Master Sword Silverless Ganon at this point.
Unless he massively lucks out and there is a Tempered Sword in up the way here. That would be massively helpful for Hitsuyan as well.
Well, it would benefit Hitsuyan, I think, more than anyone if he actually climbs up and does the routing up. There's quite a few number of chests in the Ganon Tower basement that I can foresee Hitsuyan going ahead and doing those, because from a numbers perspective, just seems like there's got to be something there.
Yeah, I think this bottom race is going to be an interesting race. Boy still has a couple of dungeons to collect, but does that have that Master Sword and gets to go straight up the gauntlet, whereas Hitsuyan has now collected all the crystals, but is in a rough situation where you're heading into Ganon's Tower with a fighter sword. What do you do?
If I'm Hitsuyan, I go ahead and I just equip my mirror so I can mirror out as soon as I can and go into the basement. If you haven't found something yet, there might be some one-off location that I'm worried that I don't check, and there is, we know that. But I would absolutely bang on there being something in the basement.
Yeah, I think at this point, a sword in Ganon's Tower seems incredibly likely, thanks to the fact that this seed really, really tried to troll us with Pedestal. We don't really have much left in dungeons that is unchecked.
For those of you who do not know, the sword that Hitsuyan is missing, that all three of our other runners did manage to pull, was on that graveyard ledge. For whatever reason, Hitsuyan just did not go there. So, yep, we see Hitsuyan checking some places here. As we see Nifboy going ahead and beating Blind. He still has to go over to pod, though, to clear that out. It's only a matter of time. We'll see who gets it first.
And not a thing found on the climb up Ganon's tower. No silvers, no... Thalane is heading into a Master Sword Silverless Ganon.
The way you said that, it almost sounded like a golf announcer. Like, Thalane is heading into a Master Sword Silverless Ganon. He checks the wind.
His caddy's pulling out the 7-wood. His caddy is pulling out the Master Sword. I believe he's going to be going for a long shot spin into the side of Ganon. Oh, very, very clean Aga fight. We're sitting here having fun. Meanwhile, cleaning up Aga.
Absolutely. That was among the cleaner fights that you can see. Thalane now on his way to the Big Pig. Master Sword Silverless. Everyone, grab your bag of popcorn and your adult beverage. This might take a little bit of time.
Sit back in your chair, relax. We have a stupid number of spins. How many spins do we have? 12 in the first phase, 12 in the second phase, and 24 in the fourth phase. For a total of a bunch of numbers that I would have to add up in my head, and that sounds really difficult.
48.
Thank you.
He's taken quite a bit of damage as well, so when you just being around Ganon, you risk just hurting yourself. So the longer he's spending doing this, the more it's going to hurt. And Hitsuyan pulls a Master Sword from that left side basement.
Oh my goodness.
So he's going to go ahead and grab this key, and then I'm sure he's on his way up. Or is he just going to go ahead and clear it?
What an absolute relief.
Oh, he's gone. Okay, so Hitsuyan and Nifboy are both going to be doing the same thing. Master Sword set.
No, taking a peek.
Hitsuyan. Where are you going, Hitsuyan?
I think he's opening the big chest. Maybe? Oh no. Oh no, he doesn't have enough arrows to make the time.
Oh! Oh, no!
Oh, this is the worst. This is the worst feeling. You know, the one thing that's good about this is he found the shovel while down. Could possibly head outside and take a look. But this is going to give Nifboy the opportunity to catch up a little bit.
And it feels so bad. Now, the only way this could possibly play well for Hitsuyan is if somehow silvers are here. Now, Thalane is on this last phase, so Ganon did already say, I did not see where he said silvers were.
Oh, those stupid silver arrows. You know, he'd have to make 2 perfect shots with them if he, even if he did have them. The lane is on the 4th phase. It's going good so far.
So far, so good. There's Nifboy. He is finished with his crystal, so he's going to be going up there.
Oh, this is... It's going to be tight.
So in this rando room, normally there's a lot of arrows here, but not sure. Oh, a single arrow!
Come on. Come on!
Oh, man, that's... Oh.
That's rude. That's... Oh, you want an arrow, did you? Well, here you go.
Dog, I hear you like arrows.
Oh. That's dirty.
And hilarious. What's he doing at this point in time?
I don't know. Maybe teleporting around is fun. There he goes. Okay, well, at the very least, there are definitely, absolutely 100% of the time, all the time, some arrows right up here. So lost a whole bunch of time, but still ahead of Nifboy.
Yeah, this is going to be an incredibly close race. Thalane is still doing work, and there's the final slash. My goodness.
Long old fight, but he makes it. Numberplay still checking those chests, about to see a dot done. We do indeed. We have Thalane is done of this seed first, finishes in first place with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 55 minutes, and 19 seconds. We're going to try to pull him in here for an interview.
GG Thalane. This is still anyone's race between Hitsuyan and Nifboy. These two are just as close as you can get. Hitsuyan with a little bit of a jump start here. But keep in mind, they're doing Master Sword Silverless. Anything can happen.
Yeah, this is not a done deal in half down to just fatigue. I mean, Hitsuyan did find that half magic, so even if he doesn't get the torch glitch, it's still not gonna do that much, but it's still a time loss if he doesn't manage to make it.
And here we have Thalane. GG, sir. How you feeling after that seed?
Pretty good, I'd say. Like, I didn't think I would come in first, to be honest.
Well, this was, it was one of those seeds where everything just seemed to bottleneck there, and whoever went to pod first ended up coming out ahead, and you went to pod first.
So what was in pod again? I kind of forgot.
Just everything.
Yeah, pod had hookshot, Titan's mitts. Goodness, what else? There were so many other things that were there. I think the Swamp Palace small key was there. It was just literally all your progression was there.
Yeah, that's true. I was looking for Kane for a long time, so I thought when I left Maya and forgot the big chest, I was just hoping that Kane wasn't in there, so I think I was kind of lucky.
Yeah, luckily some of the decisions that you made outside of Mire when you left sort of led you back to Desert Palace, which was good. Yeah, our bottom two runners actually found that red cane very early on because they wound up taking different routes that gave them that Desert Palace small key very early. In this case, it doesn't seem to have been the deal breaker here because they are both making their way up the gauntlet right now.
Flute was in pod as well, right?
It was, yes.
So who broke sequence and went up Death Mountain early?
Everyone. Literally everyone.
Everyone. Alright, okay. I thought I had an advantage because I found boots pretty early then.
I think the person who delayed it the furthest was Hitsuyan, but pretty well everyone had made that call pretty early. That finding Torch up on Death Mountain was just kind of a giant shining beacon that says, oh, Flute should be coming soon, and it just never was.
Yeah.
Can I just quickly interrupt? Pedestal is an arrow boost. I said that before this game started. It was going to be a pedestal juke with an arrow boost on it. I feel so vindicated right now. Anyway.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. So we were kind of keeping track. The Eastern Palace, Tower of Hera, and what was it? Skull Woods were the three pendants, and everyone had access to clear everything from that so early. That was also in pod. The Eastern Palace Big Key was also in pod. So we were thinking, like, from the get-go, like, my God, everything could be on the pedestal. I've never seen a seed point us in, like, a gigantic shining direction towards pedestal, and yet nothing was there.
Yeah, I was thinking pedestal the whole time as well, but I decided after I finished pod, like, I was thinking maybe I should go to Eastern and hope Kane is in there, or maybe Kane is on pad. But then I went up Death Mountain, like the Dark World right side of Death Mountain, and I was doing that because I thought maybe the others didn't break sequence and went there like when they were supposed to be, with mids and hookshot and flute and stuff. So maybe Kane was up there and I was like behind all the time, so I went there first and decided to skip Eastern, and it went pretty well, I guess.
All right. Well, Numberplay, your opponent, is currently took a fall to Ganon.
Ooh.
On phase 3. So Hitsuyan just starts his fight.
Did someone find Tempered or anything better?
No, we have no idea where the silver arrow is. We have no idea where the tempered sword is.
Correction.
I'm sorry. Yes, we do know where another sword is.
Hitsuyan never found his second sword in the back of Graveyard Ledge. So he was clearing out the Ganon Tower basement, and there was one treasure chest on the right side at the very end that had a sword. So he's also going in with only Master Sword, but because he never checked that Graveyard Ledge spot, he's right there with the rest of you.
Okay.
Yeah, so Hitsuyan taking on Ganon with that Master Sword, while Nifboy is taking on Moldorm too. Gonna likely be disappointed to see what's hanging out on the chest after he beats him. Yeah, just a heart container. Not the worst, and also an extremely healthy. Both of our runners on the bottom ending up with 18 hearts. Yeah, half magic wound up in Ganon's tower basement, unfortunately. So, all of those safeties, all those things you want to be headed into the Ganon's tower fight with, pretty much the only one you managed to find was the cape, and everything else was just somewhere else out of the way. So say though, collection rate of 152 in Keysanity, must be feeling pretty okay about that.
Yeah.
I mean, especially with all those dips into pendant dungeons that wound up happening. Well, I guess the only one you really cleared out was Tower of Hera. But yeah, by the way, so Tower of Hera really felt like a good play early on, and then just wound up being complete trash.
Yeah.
Did you wind up having to double dip it? It was a while ago, and I don't remember anymore.
No, I was able to full clear it in one go, I believe.
Yeah, unfortunately, some of our runners failed to get the Tower of Hera big key before making that first dip, or after making that first dip, rather. So we did have a couple of sort of useless double dips of Hera. All three of our runners now not only fighting Ganon, but all three of them fighting Ganon 3. Hitsuyan misses the torch glitch. This is going to be rough.
This is going to be rough, and all of them are one hit away from death.
Oh, this is a tight race for second place.
All of these runners, they're just jumping back and forth, and man, I really, really hope Hitsuyan has... I don't think he has any bottles, though, or any magic at all.
I don't remember what, like...
Oh, and he takes a death!
Oh, boy. Well, this might be time to go pick up a bottle. At the very least, go bonk that tree.
A very, very absolute minimum. Nifboy is just on this phase 2 portion. Also is already out of magic because he is using cape strats for this phase.
No torch glitch either. That's a curious... It seemed intentional? Maybe?
I had a hard time seeing at that point in time. I was just in awe of the sync.
Wasn't really like making a beeline towards the torch, so...
Yeah, for any sort of silverless fight, I mean, don't waste your time trying to get an opening hit there. Just set it up. Patience is your friend.
Hitsuyan is out of money grabbing potions, so...
And he didn't refill. What?
That's a little weird.
That's a lot weird.
That's... Must have seen the witch saying, "Hey, bucko, we're not running a charity here," and got a little intimidated.
I'm just saying he's going swag strats at this point in time.
I don't know, maybe. There we go. Heading back up. I mean, the fairy brought him.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing pretty good there. Nifboy does have the torch glitch and is on phase 3 right now.
We have a race going.
Yep, Numberplay is also on phase 3. Just waiting for that last hit. Man, it feels like we've been at Ganon forever, hasn't it?
Yeah, so you called it. Master Sword Silverless. Ooh, that was a near fall down the pit. Saves it, though.
Yeah, it's a long fight, and Numberplay is having to do both sides. Oh my goodness. So Nifboy and Hitsuyan, this is kind of an interesting race.
It's absolute with this many absolute possible to do Master Sword Silverless Ganon without Torch Glitch. It's just a slog getting those 24 spins in.
Yeah, it's horrible. I mean, I don't know if there's any polite way to say it. This is horrible.
Yeah, this fight is just... I mean, and at this point, you're in a tournament race. You're at the end. One person is not done. I mean, in the bottom race here, neither of them have reported that they've finished yet. Oh, but Nifboy takes it.
Oh, Numberplay and Nifboy finish up just about the same. We'll see who enters first. Numberplay just a half second ahead. Oh, 2 seconds. So Numberplay finishes with a time of 2 hours, 9 minutes, 7 seconds. Nifboy finishes 2 hours, 9 minutes, and 9 seconds. GG to both Numberplay and Nifboy.
The absolute snipes. we got to pull him in here and have a chat about this.
Yeah, first to join us is Numberplay. GG, sir.
GG.
So, what'd you think of that pod?
Yeah, it was loaded. My god, every locked door had something behind it. I'm glad I did the hammer jump.
Yeah, you were one of our first to find the value in the back of Palace of Darkness.
And yet I got owned.
Well, the Master Sword Silverless is a bit of a long old slog.
Yeah, I thought I had a chance, people looking everywhere for a sword, maybe.
Yeah. Incidentally, we did find a total of 3 swords altogether, but nobody ever ended up with tempered, and nobody ever ended up with silver arrows.
Well, I guess with the Skullwood Big Key nowhere to be found, no one would have found that. Definitely in the big chest. I checked every other location in Skullwoods.
And joining us is Nifboy. GG, sir, as well. Congratulations on your win. That was, I don't think you realize how absolutely tight that was. All yourself, Numberplay, and Hitsuyan were all in Ganon's fight all at the same time.
Well, I saw a dot done 2 seconds before me, and I kind of freaked out. But GG.
Yeah, it's rare that you see, especially in Keysanity, a snipe of 2 seconds.
That was my first MS Silverless, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, I had
GG.
a lot of practice with Silverless and with MS alone, but not both at the same time.
Well,
I was going to
GG.
do a blind poll because it's like, oh, I have pet access at 1 hour. Like, it's like, okay, where's that Skullwood? Like, maybe I'll get back to Skullwood sometime. Never did.
Well, it wasn't the big chest anyway, the silvers.
All right.
No one found the big key, I guess.
Well, and yeah, to Nifboy's point, you know, it seemed like there was a gigantic glowing path to the pedestal because you had everything to clear the 3 pendant dungeons so early, and then you went to pod. I think you were short like the Eastern Palace big key, and you found that in pod, and then you found the hookshot in pod, and you found the Titan Smith in pod, and you found the flute in pod, and then we said, well, there may not be anything on the pedestal.
And the desert big key. It
Yeah, there
was
was just
also in pod.
everything. Yeah, I mean, pod was just stacked.
Well, after going up the mountain and finding Lamp, I'm like, okay, I know, like, I could have done Agana, I could have done Zora. I went up Death Mountain instead, and it's like, oh, the Lamp is here, so flute access must be somewhere, so let's go find it.
You know, it's funny, we found 2 very, very early Palace of Darkness keys. But regardless, I mean, we found 2 very early Palace of Darkness keys. We found a very early hammer. Moon Pearl kind of trolled some people, but regardless, it was in Sphere 0. But the play to Palace of Darkness wound up taking quite some time for most of the runners. And I think at one point we had pretty much everybody in Palace of Darkness at the same time, because that's where the bottleneck was.
One funny thing that happened to me, I got my shield stolen, and I just didn't care.
Well, it's also like, oh, I have 4 pod keys. Like, I can full clear if I find the big key. Let's see if I can find the big key. Nope.
So, at what point was there ever a point in time that you guys felt ahead or behind, or felt that you had some sort of advantage? And then we'll tell you guys how true you are.
Well, the moment I found the boots early in the seed in the race, I thought I was ahead of everyone because that was huge. Getting boots this early on with a sequence break. But then I ended up doing pendant dungeons and none of them were required.
Forgetting to check Turtle Rock Medallion was kind of a sticking point for me.
Well, I'll tell you that the sequence break was a great sequence break, and considering how long it was until you got flute, that was awesome. The problem was everyone did it, so everyone was kind of right on the same plane, and everyone had the knowledge there that, oh, okay, lamp's up here, so flute's got to be somewhere accessible, and yeah, we were so hyped for that pedestal because everything seemed to be pointing that way, and then pod happened, and then I believe Thalane was the first one in Swamp, and he found the Ganon's Tower big key, and we were like, well, crap.
Ped hype dead.
Yeah. All our dreams were dashed very quickly. It's so sad.
But still, GG to Thalane getting a sub 2 after that seed. Both of you guys just kind of 2 seconds from one another. It was a pretty quick seed, all things considered, even though we didn't get our first crystal until something like almost 50 minutes in, and then a half hour later, the game's done.
Yeah, Bud unlocked everything. Simple as that.
Yeah, after pod, it's like, okay, which of these 3 dungeons do I want to full clear now?
That's really kind of how it went. Early rods, I thought, rod fire access was going to troll us, and no, you got fire rod. That Kakariko was absolutely stacked, and I was just seeing where everything would go. So, any last minute comments from any of our runners? Numberplay, Thalane, or nifboy?
More swords, please.
That's fair.
Yes, please. Also, I'm sorry I forgot to turn on sound on my OBS, so if anyone was watching my stream.
Look, you had the legendary sword handed down to you by the gods. Like, what else do you want?
Something better.
You want some little dudes in a house to hammer you out a orange one?
All right. Well, a big shout out again to Thalane and nifboy moving on. Now 2-1, so dreams are still alive. GG also to Numberplay and Hitsuyan1337. Hoping to keep seeing you guys, even though you might technically be eliminated from the very end, but we'll still see you guys around. Great shout out. Still lots of randomizer action going on today. Let's see, going on at, it is just at almost 5:30. Going on at Speed Gaming 4 right now, there's a quad race between Dragon Master 0283 and Asazus. I believe that's Herfy Durfy, actually. And the Prof Gamer and Fat Home 666. Also at 6 o'clock, we have Dark Shadows 59 versus Doubtmbu. I have no idea for that way. So that's on ALTTP Randomizer 1. And then another quad race right here on ALTTP Randomizer 2 at 7 o'clock Eastern. Signuson and Strumpet Playa and Hacksaw versus Troopster. That's a 2-0 match. Lots more randomizer coming on today.
Indeed. Go check it all out. There is no end to content tournament. And exciting races.
Get it while you can. Again, another final shout out as well to our trackers, Ms. Metroid and Kippy. You guys were absolutely amazing. Thank you guys so much. And a big shout out to my co-commentator, Fintalis. First time commentating with you. I had a blast.
Oh, thanks. First time commentating with you, and I'll blast. It's absolutely fun. 100%, 10 out of 10. I would do it again. Speaking of that 6 p.m. match, I have to restreaming that one, and it starts in half an hour, so I should probably, start getting that one set up.
We'll let you get going, fans. So, and we'll sign off here for everyone here at for Speed Gaming and Randomizer Mania and ALTTP Randomizer. I'm Vitasia, and we have Fentalis and everyone else here. Thank you so much, and have a good rest of your afternoon.
Oh, and Epi, thanks so much for restreaming. It was fantastic. See all you guys later.